Mitad de temporada, quinto capítulo de la segunda temporada justamente de Mirá a quién encontré. Aviso parroquial, primero corresponde, la semana que viene no habrá un nuevo capítulo y la otra quizás tampoco, pero volveremos en breve con lo que sea la segunda tanda, la tanda de capítulos finales, los 5 capítulos finales de Mirá a quién encontré. Nos metemos en lo que nos compete esta semana. Estamos entrando en el mes de abril, todavía no terminamos marzo, pero ya casi estamos en el mes de Game of Thrones. Va a ser la última temporada para la serie fantástica de HBO, que tiene a todos muy ansiosos, sobre todo teniendo en cuenta en que en el 2018 no hubo ningún estreno, no hubo ningún capítulo nuevo. Por eso quería buscar y hablar con alguien vinculado a esta producción fantástica basada en los libros de George Martin. Por eso hablamos, encontramos, rastreamos y alguien nos contó un poquito un costado de esta serie fantástica. Así que mirá quién encontré. If you have to put a percentage of how many words were really used in the show, how much are we talking about?
Oh, I'd say probably less than 10% of the vocabulary has been used in the show. Less than 10% would be a little less than 400 words, and that sounds about right, I think.
Sir Jorah, I don't know how to say thank you in Dothraki.
There is no word for thank you in Dothraki.
I've been creating languages for many years, about 10 years. And then there was a competition that was announced for the creation of the Dothraki language on HBO's Game of Thrones. I applied with many other very good language creators, but at the end of that process, I was selected as the winner. And so my proposal was chosen, and I went on to continue working on Game of Thrones. The competition was only about a month and a half long, and I created over 300 pages of material, including translations, the full dictionary, the full grammar. It was an extensive amount of work. I think they would have felt bad not choosing me, because like the amount of work I did was, I think, larger than all of the other finalists combined.
You told me that normally it took you like maybe 6 months, maybe a year, maybe longer to create the language. So how was working with that pressure, making a whole new language in only 1 month?
I had the time to be able to actually devote pretty much every waking hour of my day to the proposal. But nevertheless, it was very, very stressful. And frankly, if I had not gotten the job, I probably never would have created another language again. It was tremendously draining. Afterwards, I met George R. R. Martin for the first time at a signing he did at Mysterious Galaxies in San Diego, a bookstore, and he seemed to be delighted to know me and happy with the work that I had done, which was good. And I've chatted with him and met with him several times since then.
Language is very important part of our cultures. Every culture has like a history behind that language. So how important was for you to know the story behind Game of Thrones in order to create all those languages and the story behind each culture, each tribe, like the Dothrakis, like the Valyrians? How was that important for you?
Whenever you're creating a language, you have to start somewhere when it comes to creating vocabulary. The vocabulary items you create are going to directly reflect the culture of the people that are speaking the language, because you have to have words for things that exist around you, and so you're going to have words for certain things and not others. I found it very helpful that the language that I was creating was based on a book series where the people were more or less fleshed out by somebody else, because then I didn't have to go through, and invent every single aspect of this culture the way I have with my languages previously. I could just read the books and use them as source material.
How many words are there hidden with hidden secrets of your life or of the life of people that surrounds you?
Oh, not very many, really. especially comparatively speaking. I mean, Dothraki's got about 4,000 words, and maybe they're like 10, you know? Just little bits, but yeah, I've always got to honor my cats. I don't know if you can see this.
It's always there. So,
oh, yeah.
So he's the cat that inspired the word in Dothraki?
No. Actually, this cat came later. Because this cat has a word in High Valyrian. It's a word for lion.
Which was the first word that you used to honor someone else?
Oh, it was definitely my wife's name, Erin, because I always want to, honor her in all of my languages and pretty much in everything I do. I mean, she's the best thing that ever happened to me, and I always want to honor her. In Dothraki, her word means kind.
Dracarys.
Did you work with actors directly to teach them how to speak the language or to help them with the pronunciation?
Not on Game of Thrones. I have on a number of shows that I've worked on, shows and movies. The results are always better when I work with the actors. They don't need to know what it means after they've learned how they're going to say it. They just need to know how they're going to say it, and that's it.
I have dragons. I'll give you one.
Her character talks a lot of languages, so she has to learn a lot. In fact, she has to memorize a lot. But what do you think of her pronunciation, of her way of maybe talking each language in a different way, so you can actually see that she's talking different languages?
Natalie Emmanuel's casting, I think, was extremely crucial because the role of Miss Andy is very important when it comes to the language work specifically. And I honestly couldn't be happier with who they cast. Natalie Emmanuel is just amazing. And it was really a joy to see her do the different languages, in the different ways that she does. It was really very nice because she does them very well, and she performs them like somebody who can speak each of those languages almost clinically, which is nice. So you really do have that sense that almost like, and this is weird to say, it's almost like she's not comfortable in any one of those specific languages because all of these languages are her job. And so every time she's pronouncing each one of them, she always makes sure to be precise in ways that no other character, no other character ever really performs that way.
Yeah.
It's all either very natural or very clunky if they're supposed to be clunky because they're not supposed to be a native speaker. Hers is pristine, and I really, really like it.
Bien, hasta ahí la palabra de David Peterson, el creador de idiomas, el creador de lenguajes de Game of Thrones. Seguro viste o escuchaste Dothraki, Valyrio, algún jeroglífico de alguna otra lengua perdida en la serie. Todo responsabilidad de la cabeza de David Peterson, con quien hablamos en esta oportunidad. Nosotros en Mirada a quien encontré nos veremos por lo menos dentro de 1 o 2 semanas. Por supuesto, va a haber nuevos episodios, va a haber nuevas entrevistas. Nos quedan las últimas 5 entrevistas de esta segunda temporada. Les pido que se suscriban, que comenten y que difundan este trabajo que con tanto cariño hago para todos ustedes y por supuesto para mí también. Nos veremos cuando nos tengamos que ver. I'm not gonna ask you that, but can you talk it fluently and can you write it fluently?
No, creating a language is not the same as learning a language. Just as for a linguist, studying a language is not the same as learning a language. You come to know a lot about the language, but in order to be able to use it fluently, first you need to have a very good command of the vocabulary. Because even if you know the grammar, if you don't know any of the words, you're going to be stuck not being able to say anything. And that's something that just takes practice, memorization, and daily use. And furthermore, being able to use the language, for me, it really takes working with a native fluent speaker to just practice some of the banalities that come with speaking a language, like English, saying like, hey, how are you doing, Spanish, hola, ¿qué tal, qué ondas, güey, so on. So that's the type of thing that you just don't, get if you're just studying the language. Now, having used Dothraki for translation, in the show for so many years, you get a certain amount of fluency, just the same way you would if you were translating anything else for another show in a different language. If you keep on using it, you get a little bit of fluency. So I'm pretty okay with writing Dothraki, but still, again, not as good a command of the vocabulary.